choice was him playing?
It'd be a good chance for next week, but this week was just too tight. He got a decent whack on the shoulder, so he ran really well today. There's no other elements of his fitness that we're worried about. Just having full function of a shoulder for a number 6 is pretty important, particularly as good as he is in the line out. And we've got confidence in the squad. It's good for young Charlie to get a start, and good for Langy to get off the bench and get involved. So I think it's one of the things that we want to demonstrate, that we're a squad-orientated group.
When Slips take up the captaincy, you couldn't have more experience going to take up that position. Is he a logical choice?
Slips isn't massively keen on. He just leads himself really well, Slips, and so he'll do a great job. Fantastic experience, and it's that quiet leadership that we'll need, and the quiet resolve he brings to his work will hopefully ripple through the team.
We saw Alan take over that captaincy in the second half of that first game. Was there a temptation to sort of swap the job share between him and Taniela and have Taniela partner Isaac in that second half?
Yes and no. I think part of it is just trying to get the balance with the players and the experience. So Alan, if we put Alan and Slips in there, they've got great experience to start. But Nella gave us a really strong platform early in the game, and you got to respect that. And he didn't want to give up the starting jersey, as no player does want to give up. So I just feel like we've got a pretty good balance there. It also means that if Slips comes off, it's likely that Alan will take up a similar role and lead the back half of the game.
Is Pollard and Liner dropping out? Is that injury related? Can you sort of talk about that?
Sorry?
Billy Pollard and Tom Liner dropping the bench. Is that injury? What's the situation?
No, that was probably a little bit of a longer term plan. Just that we've got 2 quite young hookers. Billy's had a bit more experience for sure, but he is still very young in the role. He's got some really strong aspects to his game, and it's probably just an opportunity for Josh to get in there and get some experience as well.
Just on Josh, someone who's started behind Matty for a lot of the season, what did you sort of see in those short bursts off the bench that makes you think he can step up to this test level and thrive?
We've been really happy with the way he's trained internally, and he's a very strong scrummager. Josh, he's an ex-prop, so he's moved into hooker there, so he gives us a really strong scrum in the back half of the game. Billy's a good scrummager as well. It's just an opportunity to broaden the group a little bit. It's a position that we don't have a massive amount of experience. Even Matt Fassler, who starts, has not had too many test matches, less than 10.
Joe, just on Lamb, when did you know that he wasn't going to take part? And is it a bit frustrating knowing that you've just named him captain and you're trying to find out more, and you're probably wanting to know if he's a test player too?
It's frustrating, but as I said, that we've got a confidence in the squad. We thought it would come right pretty quickly. He got the whack in the game, and post-match, we thought the progress would be pretty quick, and it's just a little bit slower than we would have liked. And once he wasn't fully fit to be named to train on Tuesday, we just felt better to give certainty to the guys who are going to be there, particularly a young guy like Charlie Cale, his first test match last week, his first test start this week. You want to support that run in as best you can with a nice, clean entry into the game through the training week.
You've gone with Langy, who's typically probably more been an 8 for the Tars, not so much of a 7 replacement. Was there temptation to go with someone like a Tom Hooper, and where is he and Nick Frost in terms of their games at the moment?
Yeah, Hoops was certainly a prospect for us, and has trained really well. Nick Frost he's getting better and better in the environment as well. So, there was a fair bit of round the table as far as those decisions were concerned. At the same time, Langy probably gave us the best cover at 8 specifically, and that was important for us. Otherwise, you have multiple changes. I think Langy was our best solution as a single shot change, either at 6, 8 or 7 as required. Whereas I think with Tom, he wouldn't be an 8, so you'd have to swap Bobby, Rob Valentini to 8, and then put Hoops at 6 if something happened to Charlie, and then he could go like for like at 7. But we just felt this was probably a better opportunity for Billy to come off the bench and add some impact, because he's an explosive player, Billy, and that may be a really good opportunity for him.
And just speaking of Charlie, he's pretty explosive, dynamic. Have you seen, Australian rugby probably hasn't seen a number 8 much like him in quite a long time. What is it about Charlie, 23-year-old, second season super, that has made him, a second test, a starting debutant in his second match?
Well, there's obviously a bit of fortune with Liam being injured, but you earn what you get, and I think he's earned it on the back of Super Rugby form. He was relatively quiet when he came off the bench last week, and I think to give a young player real confidence, to get the training week, to get the clarity early in the week, as I mentioned earlier with Liam stepping out on Tuesday morning, it just meant that for Charlie it's nice clarity for him, and he can get his head around the requirements, because inevitably when you're coming off the bench you don't get the same reps in the team, and so for line out clarity where he's so quick into the air, for the clarity around his role in the defensive system or in the attacking shape, or those elements of the game, I think for him it'll be a nice runway into Saturday's game.
Joe, great to see you in Melbourne this week.
Yep.
Start of the week, what did you know about rugby in Victoria, and have you learned anything about the community down here in the 4 days you've been here?
And I was pretty wet and cold on Tuesday. That was a great challenge for us. My son lives here in Melbourne, so he plays a bit for Harlequins, and dislocated his shoulder a couple of weeks ago, so he's enjoying the challenge of that. So I chat to him about a bit of the rugby. We've got a number of guys like Rob Valentini, Hunter Paisami, Isaac Kailea, who are all Harlequins boys as well, but a lot better obviously than my young fellow who's pretty much kind of semi retired and drops into fill-in. But I obviously have spent a bit of time in Melbourne as well. We've had our son here for quite some time. Been here for the last 2 years with test matches, not on the same side, but certainly catching up with people in rugby circles. So I think you've got a city of 5 million, and you've got there's a lot of Kiwis in Melbourne, so that they obviously have a real interest in rugby, and I think Melbourne is probably the biggest supporters of events. They just love a sporting event, and I reckon you could put just about tiddlywinks on at the MCG. If it was a really good tiddlywinks competition, I think you'd get people turning up from Melbourne because they just love a sporting contest. And you get the Australian Open here, I came to a World Cup cricket final here, sadly. New Zealand got spanked by Australia in the game, but on the Thursday following that, I went to Carlton versus Richmond and sat in the box with Mick Malthouse, and 76,000 people in for a club game of AFL. So I just love the way Melbourne people get behind any sporting occasion, and so having been here the last couple of years, 85,000 in the MCG last year in the All Black Wallaby Test, and a sold out Marvel Stadium the year before. So certainly the interest is there, and some of the best players that have come out of club sides in recent times have come from Melbourne.
The community's reeling a little bit following the Rebels' decision, obviously. Is there any message of optimism, or what should they be looking forward to this rugby union community?
Yeah, there's some really good things happening in schools. I think Jimmy Orange has got some programs up and running in schools that are going really well, and I think the stronger it can be through the grassroots, I think inevitably you grow the interest, because if people have played it when they're young and they're involved when they're young, they have an interest as they progress through, and it's one way. Traditionally it is so AFL strong in Melbourne that it's a little bit similar to Ireland in that experience, with Gaelic football and Gaelic hurling being so strong. But the rugby through the school environment really started to gather momentum, and it would be great to see that happen in Melbourne. And as I say, there's some programs in schools that are starting to really attract young people to the game.
Joey,
broadly speaking, there was it's a great move, I suppose, optimism about the win last week in Australian rugby. People are feeling good again. How much of your week has been spent pulling people in this environment back down to earth and talking about the realities of how close Wales came in various places?
Yeah, I'd be fairly pragmatic about that. I think in the end, 3 tries to 1 looks good on paper, and I love the 3 tries we got, and they were all quite varied. One was a real roll the sleeves up effort. Another one was, Filippo is right on the left edge, and he works hard to get that ball back out on the right edge, and finishes well. And then Tom Wright's finish was outstanding. So we're really happy with that, but we felt that. There were times, particularly the back end of the game, I think we made 68 tackles in the last 10, 12 minutes. We don't want to be tackling that long against a Welsh side that are coming in waves, and we've got to get a little bit more pressure on the ball. One thing I thought was outstanding during that period of time is our discipline. I think we were pretty unlucky not to get, I think it was Jeremy Williams, he got on the ball at one stage. I thought he was a bit unlucky, but there were very few penalties. That one was ruled as a penalty. You just got to accept that and bounce back from it. But I thought we bounced back really well and defended really well. So, that's a reality for the players, that if we don't look after the ball ourselves, or we give it away too cheaply, then we're going to get red waves coming at us, and it's going to be a hard night's work if that's the case.
And what have you made of the Wales changes? A couple of injury enforced ones by the looks of it.
Yeah, and I'll be a big fan of Wainwright. I think he was really good for them last year, and through last week's game, we tried to double team him, and he still took gain line off us. He's impressive. I think he's about 26 or something. He's at the peak of his powers at the moment, so it'll be pretty disappointing for Wales to lose him, and it'll be disappointing for him to step out of the game for a little while. Liam Williams shifting to the wing, and Winnett coming into fullback. I think that's probably strengthens their aerial game. Liam's very good going up after the ball, and it also, their running game, Winnett, he's sharp from the back. He's got good footwork, good acceleration, and I thought he had a really good Six Nations. So they've got some guys there who could give us some real headaches in the back three. We know Rio Dyer well as well. So those back three, that shift in the back three, I think can still be really challenging for us. I've coached Tane Plumtree. Obviously coached with his dad in the past in Ireland, and he's a heck of an athlete. So I think him going into 8 will be good for them. Both of them. Inevitably, you're going to lose something with Aaron Wainwright, with his experience and just how good a player he is. But I think they've got guys who are still going to really challenge us.
Last one from me. With Charlie Cale, we've seen him doing some spectacular things with the Brumbies. I think he's got a grubber, runs around wingers. Are you okay with the number 8 grubbering and running in the wide channels, or are you going to
Yeah, every time he scores off those, I'm delighted. Yeah, I think Charlie brings that package, and that package can help destabilise a defensive system that Wales might have. At the same time, what really impressed me with Charlie today, even at training, he worked really hard on the other side of the ball. Having that athleticism to connect and help on the edge when he's defending that wide, or he actually got in tight and got nice and square in his contacts and worked hard. So, I think one of the things about Test footy is you can't just play one side of the ball. And I'm not saying that Charlie did during the year, but I think his application to the defensive side of the ball was really good today, which, if we can free him up, we know those other aspects with the ball will be a strength for him.
Joe, you able to give an update around Lenny Gattel, just his sort of status around getting into the selection train?
Yeah, Lenny's tracking really well. He should run at full speed by Friday, at latest Saturday, which puts him straight into the selection frame for next week. But again, a little bit too early this week. We had a couple of guys, that we just made early decisions on, to be honest, because with a young squad, if we don't give them time, and I know I talked about the runway already, I just think having that clarity, as I said, I only met these guys 2 weeks ago, there's a lot to cover, and we're trying to kind of keep the menu fairly tight, but to be really good with what we do.
Just on that 2 weeks of getting to know them, what do you know about them now that you didn't know last week?
I know they're good men and certainly driven to play really well for the Wallabies. I think they're still finding their feet. There's some confidence, but to get that really deep-rooted belief in what they're doing and how they play the game and how they can depend on each other, that's going to take time, because those things are, they're embedded in instant decisions where you're playing with someone. And I mentioned before, the aspect of the game that I love is the interdependence. No one can really play the game by themselves or be individually playing the game without the help of others. Even Tom Wright in the weekend, I thought, Andrew Callaway and Josh Fluke gave him options on the edge, which meant one of the defenders turned out, which gave him the corner to take. And so even when you get a really individual try, you've still got other players working either side of you to try to help you out. So I think I've learned that they're determined. They want to be as good as they can be, but I've also had enough experiences to know that it's still going to take time before they really know each other well enough to have that trust in those microseconds that you get to make decisions. And so I think any team's always a work in progress, but sometimes you're just a little bit further back in that spectrum than getting into the really accelerated, high trust environment of a high performance team.